about that at the senior places, you know, about people that can't afford all these expensive places, right? And so what they're doing is pushing them out, like going towards the Bay, like Oakland, Hayward, somewhere like that, right? Because the city is making itself for the more middle class and rich, you know what I'm saying? That's what they're doing now. That's why they're pulling all these buildings up so fast.
If you're poor here now, 9 times out of 10, you're going to die poor. Now.
And my occupation is being a mentally ill recipient of Social Security.
You get out of bed, you're out on the street, you gotta hustle if you wanna eat. They're singing your
I lived on 6th Street about 2 years and 3 months. Let me see, I just sleep in corners, near down alleys. I was kicked out of one alley. Just there's so much movement on the street. Your eyes look everywhere for safety. Oh, she kicked me and hit me and told me she was gonna set me on fire. Little girl wearing a yellow coat, short brown hair.
Living on the street, it's about a year, and a little over a year.
And how did you survive on the street?
I lost a lot of cell phones, I lost a lot of my tools, and got robbed a couple of times. I used to sleep on either on Muni or Bart. I felt more safer on those.
Who hauls the sleeping bag away?
DPW, Department of Public Works.
What do they do when they show up?
They just tell you to leave the stuff and move away, or they'll call the cops. And if you don't move away, the cops, can arrest you for vagrancy or homelessness or whatever.
Now, do they actually steal your sleeping bag?
Yes, they do.
Even if you're moving away.
Even if you're moving away, they just want to confiscate the. 6.5 years ago, I was living with my 2 kids and my kid's mother. I was working, and we were renting our own home and stuff. And I started drinking again. She wouldn't allow us drinking in the house, so I said, "Fuck it all," and I drained our bank account. Came back down to San Francisco, started doing dope again, and that's how I ended up back out on the street.
Yeah, I live here on 6th Street in one of the in a room in I guess what you call an SRO. My hotel is one of the better ones actually. It's at least it doesn't have bed bug. They don't have a bug problem. It used to. It has a bad reputation. It had, but I must say that the owners of the one I live in, they fix it up pretty good. They take care of it, which is kind of rare on the street. That's why I have stayed there and hope I can stay there longer.
Yeah.
It's the only thing is it costs. I'm on a fixed income.
Yeah.
On disability, and it does. It takes like 3/4 of my monthly income just to pay the rent.
If I may ask, what do they charge you a month to live there?
I'm paying $650, but it's gone up from that since I moved in. I'm actually one of the luckier ones. For a room where I share a bath, the room I live in is probably about 8 by 10, I'd say. Big enough for a bed. I have a pretty good sized bed, a sink. That's about it. A closet and a table.
How come I was running from a woman?
What'd you do? Chase you out of the house?
No, I had to get away from her. It drives me nuts. Yeah, I used to work construction steel for Brand Steel Company in Kansas City, Missouri. If the ocean hadn't been there, I'd still be going. To this day. I mean, she was a good woman. We just, she seemed things one way, I seen another. There was no hitting or nothing, just a lot of that shit. And I don't like doing that either. I try to leave you. No, you ain't leaving. You gonna listen to what I got to say the whole night.
So, how big is your room?
How big is your room? About his size.
It's a box.
It's a box.
You ought to see mine.
It's a box.
Mine's a walk-in closet.
Yeah, mine's maybe a little bigger than his, not much.
So, about 8 by 10?
No, I've been in jail cell. That's not jail cell like that. That's twice the size of jail
Eight out
cell.
of 10's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
That's a
A little more detail about how somebody gets into homelessness. How's that happen?
Well, some people, they get into homeless because they're not responsible for handling their money. They have too many other problems, drinking and drugs, top of the list. If you're in that category, you're going to be homeless eventually because that's just the way the game goes. Now, we got some people out here that's been homeless, like maybe they was homeless in their 30s. They grew old out here in the street. And then we got people that's just falling through the cracks. Most of them, middle-aged people up until seniors, they just fall through the cracks. So they end up on the street. It's not hard at all to end up living on the street. Not in America. We found that out. Well, I found it out.
I'm going to get off parole here in the next 4 months, and then
pray. I'm a religious man. Well, just be a little bit more understanding about people that are disabled. You know, if a person can work, it's one thing, and is young and has experience to do any kind of job. But if a person can't work, then they got to have some kind of substance. And be wise about what you give for. If somebody's trying to buy a bottle of beer so they can get drunk and get in somebody's face, well, don't give them money for beer. Buy them a sandwich, and that's what a lot of people are being wise about helping people. You know, if a person has a full belly, they're a lot liable to make a better decision about a crisis situation that comes up on the street.
You got to check in between 7 and 9 p.m. for a homeless shelter. And you're allowed to sleep there till I believe 6:30. They serve breakfast at 7:30. 7, you're out the doors by 8. You walk the streets all day, or you go to the library. Realize that they hustled for cocaine during the day, doing recycling and just washing windows or watching cars, or sometimes asking to use a phone and then not returning it, using people's credit cards to help them run an ATM machine and then not returning the card or withdrawing all the money. Homeless people aren't a minority. I think they're a nuisance. I feel like I'm a nuisance to the shop owners.
How did your face get scratched?
Food allergy. I ate tomato off of a cardboard. I was sleeping outside. Cocaine helps my depression.
Do you get depressed when you're in the street?
Oh yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Well, I go to the senior centers, and they have some people that you can talk to, and you can talk to a psychiatrist, and they want to put you on some kind of medication.
Homelessness is based on poverty. We know that, but it's much more complicated than that. Homelessness is traumatizing. Homelessness alienates you from your fellow human being. You want to do something to help a homeless person? Meet them as a fellow human being. Treat them as a fellow human being. Your chances of actually helping them out of homelessness are... The fact is, many of the homeless people I see do use substances. Certainly trauma is one of the key factors in all this. We think about what traumatizes people, certainly experiences in childhood, but also experiences in adulthood. And homelessness itself is incredibly, drastically traumatizing. This is an experience that, at its most basic level, changes how people interact with the world, and really actually changes how the brain works. And it's often that experience of trauma that is the fuel for the need to use drugs. The type of trauma that occurs with homelessness, feeling unsafe, being assaulted physically, being assaulted psychologically, being stigmatized and looked at by your fellow human being as somebody who is fearful to be hated, and being subjected to that on a daily basis. One thing that people say is that's enough to drive anybody to drinking. That having that kind of regular trauma is going to change people's brains in such a way that they're much more vulnerable to substance use disorders. Self-medication is actually a fairly well-developed theory in addiction medicine. The idea is that people use drugs or use alcohol or use other substances for a reason, and often that reason is related to other underlying or undiagnosed pathology that needs to be treated, often is not treated medically, and people find ways of feeling better and find ways of trying to treat themselves. For many people, just altering their consciousness from the unacceptable way that it is at some present moment to something that is more acceptable is whatever works is what they're going to use.
The words of the 23rd Psalm, and think of the men that I've known that have died this year, the ones I know their names of George and Steve, and hope that they go to a good shepherd and there truly is a table of bounty for them. For the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And even though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me.
So now we will remember the people by name, and with all of the prayers and the words that we have heard, that they've created the space to hear the names. Susan Hampton, 49, died of exposure. Mickey Ramsey, 54, died of hanging. John Smith, 47, died of assault. Bradley Gaines, 57, trauma. Freddie Robin, 53, overdose. David Thomas, 42, trauma. John Doe, 33, natural causes.
Andre Hall, Sam Schneider, Eddie Watts, Roy Allen Rose, Mr. One Hand, Gennaro Garcia.
Linda Morosito.
Those names are from Tom. Next 3 pages are also Tom Wendell clients. Jetson Davis, Bonnie Mae, Elvis Presley, Jade Marable,
God's peace be with you all. Stay as long as you wish, and remember those, our brothers and sisters whom we've lost, and talk about how we might not need to gather here again next year.